Mom, where's the car? I asked in a panic, quickly checking our key case. Only the minivan key was missing. Anita, on the other end of the phone, let out a mocking laugh. All because I borrowed it, of course. It's not like it's at Helen's place or anything. What? I shot back. That car isn't even mine. Hi. I'm Helen Miller, a housewife with one daughter. My family and I moved to this town to coincide with my husband Mark's business trip. We're what you'd call a transfer family, which is common for us. Moving to new places always makes me anxious, especially when it comes to getting along with neighbors. Luckily, the people here have been kind, making me feel welcome. My daughter Ava has settled into kindergarten, and she's already making friends, chattering excitedly every day. I was starting to think we'd be okay here. But back to that phone call. Sorry, Helen, for borrowing the car, Anita continued. It's fine, I sighed. I was just planning to do some shopping today. A few days earlier, I had gone to a department store a bit farther away with a local mom friend. The store had a fantastic selection, but it was inconvenient to get to without a car. When the topic of shopping came up, I casually suggested, why don't we go together? I can drive. We have a minivan that Mark got for family outings. He drives his own car, so the minivan is mostly mine. The minivan was pretty nice, and my neighbors had complimented me on it more than once. Nice car, Helen. You're so lucky to have it. Word got out that I'd been to that department store, and soon after, Anita, one of the first mom friends I made here, brought it up. She's lively and friendly, but she can be overwhelming. At first, she showed me around town, which was sweet. But the more we talked, the more she started bringing up money, especially in a way that made me uncomfortable. My husband's in a decent position, but the pay could be better, she'd say with a smirk. Oh, really? I'd respond politely. Well, he's young for his position. She'd continue, casually flashing an expensive handbag. He bought me this for our anniversary, $22,000. That's nice, I replied, feeling awkward. Our conversations often felt competitive. Anita would drop snide remarks about people's clothes and accessories or gossip about others. She was clearly trying to flaunt her wealth while putting others down. It left a bad taste in my mouth. So when she asked if I could take her to the department store, I hesitated. But her persistence wore me down. Well, if I'm free sometime, I said, trying to be non-committal. She took that as a promise, and soon enough, we ended up going together. The shopping trip was exhausting. We spent 5 hours at the store, but even as I tried to wrap things up, Anita wanted to keep going. Let's go there next, she said, pointing toward another section. Sorry, I told her, I need to get home soon. Ava will be back from kindergarten. She pouted. What? We've barely had any fun yet. I sighed. We've been here for 5 hours, Anita. I really need to go. The entire drive back, she criticized my outfit and gossiped about other moms. Her tone was so condescending that I couldn't wait to drop her off. But things didn't end there. She started showing up at my house unexpectedly, asking to borrow the car for random errands. Can I borrow your car? My foot hurts today, she'd say. Each time, I politely refused, but she always acted like it was no big deal. What's the problem? It's just for a little while. She'd grumble before leaving in a huff. This became a regular pattern. Then, one weekend, Ava had a piano recital. Some of her kindergarten classmates attended the same piano school, which was a bit far away. I had planned to take her there, but I had no idea that this innocent recital would lead to even more drama with Anita. I suggested, should I drive us there, wanting to repay the kindness I had received from the other moms. When I offered, they looked surprised. Are you sure? I mean, not that we believe it, but Anita said you find it annoying to drive for kindergarten events and only do it because we ask you. I was taken aback. What? Really? I couldn't believe it. Apparently, Anita had been spreading rumors, claiming that I didn't like driving for the group and had been refusing to lend my car out of spite. It was a form of retaliation. I quickly explained the situation, apologizing if I had made anyone uncomfortable. I'm so sorry it could seem that way. I never meant to cause any trouble. One of the moms reassured me, Helen, you don't need to apologize. We didn't believe it. Another added, really, it's fine. I don't mind driving everyone. We all go to the same places anyway, and we like getting along. I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. I'm truly sorry if I caused any misunderstanding. We're sorry too, one of them said. We shouldn't have let those rumors bother us. Thanks for always helping out. I was relieved that the misunderstanding with my mom friends had been resolved, but Anita's actions still unnerved me. Without that conversation, I might have remained distant from the other moms, thinking they were upset with me. To Anita, I was just a convenient source of transportation. After that day, I began keeping my distance from her, and it seemed the other moms did the same. But I had no idea things were about to escalate. One day, Ava and I planned to go to the mall. As she rushed to the garage, she suddenly yelled, "Mom, where's the car?" Confused, I went to check, and sure enough, the minivan was gone. Mark hadn't taken it, he always let me know when he did, but he had been out of town on a business trip for days. I rushed to the key case and realized that the minivan key was missing. "No way," I whispered, my heart racing. Fearing the worst, I immediately called the police. They arrived quickly and began checking security cameras in the area. But unfortunately, our garage was in a blind spot. Identifying the thief might take some time, they told me. I called Mark, who promised to come home right away. Our mall trip was canceled, leaving Ava disappointed. The next day was a holiday, so we stayed in and baked, which cheered her up a bit. But I couldn't shake the anxiety gnawing at me over the missing car. Then, out of nowhere, my phone rang. It was Anita. I was too busy discussing the situation with Mark to deal with her. "Sorry, Anita, I can't talk right now," I said. "Oh, is this about the minivan?" she asked, her voice dripping with mockery. My stomach dropped. "How do you know about that?" I asked, completely startled. She laughed. "Because I borrowed it, of course. It's not like it's at Helen's or anything." I was stunned. "What? How could you say that? How did you even get the keys?" Suddenly, it clicked. Yesterday, I had hosted a small tea party with the other moms to discuss a class event. It wasn't even my idea, it was Anita's. At one point, she had excused herself to use the bathroom, and I remembered thinking she'd been gone for a while. But I hadn't thought much of it at the time. "Was it during the tea party?" I asked, my mind reeling. "Yeah, duh. With such an obvious key case, it's like you were asking me to borrow it," she said, her tone casual. "That's theft, Anita." I shot back, furious. "Huh? Well, it's your fault for not lending it to me when I asked," she said. "Anyway, I'm on a trip now and won't be back until the weekend. I'll return it then." "That's not okay," I shouted, but she abruptly ended the call with a smug bye. I stood there speechless. On one hand, I felt relieved the car wasn't gone for good, but on the other, I was shaken that a so-called friend could do something so brazen. I explained everything to Mark, who listened calmly. With a wry smile, he said, "I really want to understand what kind of morals people have." "Yeah, being taken advantage of like this is exhausting," I sighed. "Don't worry," he said, "I'll handle it. And honestly, you wouldn't want to keep driving a car that's been misused, right? I was thinking of returning it to the company soon anyway, so this works out." Our minivan hadn't actually been purchased by us. Mark works for a major car company, and they provided the vehicle for us to use and test drive. He'd been planning to return it soon, and now it seemed like the perfect time. Although the car wasn't technically ours, we were allowed to use it as part of an unusual employee benefit. However, when someone else uses it without permission, it's considered theft, and it could pose a risk to the company. Mark assured me he would handle the situation through his company. When I asked if the company would really get involved for someone unrelated, he simply smiled. "Normally, no. But this case is special," he said cryptically. I was confused, but he reassured me, "Don't worry. Leave it to me." We decided to wait until the weekend for Anita to return the car. However, 2 days before the promised return date, Anita called again. "Sorry, I had a bit of an accident and the car's been towed," she said nonchalantly. I was shocked. Anita explained that she had been in an accident while traveling. Fortunately, no one else was involved, though she had sustained minor injuries. But the car was severely damaged. Despite her lack of remorse, I asked, "You'll compensate for the car, right?" Her response was infuriating. "Huh? I got hurt and my medical bills are expensive. It's tough with just my husband's earnings, and you still want compensation." Anita, who had started this entire mess by taking the car without permission, continued to make excuses. She dodged my questions about her injuries and the car's condition. When I told Mark about her excuses, he sighed. She's really hopeless. Maybe we should talk to her husband. The next day, Anita and her husband, Eric, came to our house. Eric apologized profusely. I'm deeply sorry for my wife's behavior. I've also troubled my division manager and want to apologize. If we could just overlook this, we'd be grateful. It was then that I learned Eric worked for the same company as Mark, though in a lower position. Mark was his division manager. Eric had a position, as Anita had bragged, but Mark outranked him. When Mark found out Eric was Anita's husband, he contacted him at work to discuss the situation. That's when everything came to light. Anita had falsely claimed that the accident was my fault, saying she had only been a passenger in the car and was trying to demand leniency. Eric, furious after learning the truth, had brought her to our house to apologize. We will definitely compensate for the car. I'm terribly sorry for the trouble, Eric said. I'm not angry with you, Mark said firmly. It's Anita who needs to apologize. Anita, unable to keep quiet, snapped defensively. I didn't know Helen's husband was a division manager. You've only recently moved here, right? Don't tell me you've been lying. She continued, besides, with a minivan like that, Helen must be rich. A little generosity wouldn't hurt, right? I immediately interjected, that car isn't ours. What? Anita looked shocked. Mark calmly explained, the car is provided by the company. It's not ours, it's part of a special program unrelated to my department. It's a company car, not a personal vehicle, so a settlement is out of the question. Her face went pale as she began to realize the seriousness of the situation. Mark then confronted her. What you did is unmistakably theft. You sneaked into our home, stole the keys, and used the car without permission, then you damaged it. This is beyond common sense. We'll be discussing this with our superiors and considering the consequences. Wait, what's going to happen to me? Anita cried, clinging to Eric. But Eric, fed up, pushed her away. Anita, I can't deal with this anymore. We'll discuss our future at home. What do you mean, our future? Anita wailed. Eric turned to us, his expression grim. Division Manager Miller, Mrs. Miller, I'm truly sorry. We will compensate the company for the car. All right, Mark said. We'll discuss it further at the office. Eric apologized several times before dragging a protesting Anita out of our house. The commotion had attracted the attention of the neighbors, who stood whispering among themselves. After they left, Mark, with a wry smile, explained more about Eric. He's an excellent subordinate, but often talks about his home troubles during company dinners. When I mentioned his name, I realized he was married to Anita. I've been trying to find a way to help him, but this incident might change their relationship. Indeed, the company billed Anita for the extensive repair costs, and she ultimately agreed to pay. Eric decided to divorce her after the incident, despite her pleas. He contacted her parents, explained everything, and they took her back home. Anita's parents, who were very strict, covered the repair costs, and Anita is now working to pay them back. Eric, who wasn't at fault, kept his job and continues to work diligently under Mark. As for me, my relationship with the other moms grew closer after Anita's departure. They sympathized with me, saying it must have been tough. Those who had believed Anita's lies apologized to me, saying sorry about that. They now understood that all the rumors Anita had spread were false. Mom, I'm leaving. Ava called out one morning. Okay. Have a good day, I replied with a smile, feeling relieved by the return of peaceful days. With the drama behind us, I'm determined to continue supporting my family as a housewife.